The grandeur, the throws, and the knockouts. 15, call it 17 years ago, in a tiny Taipei apartment, my Gambian friend invited me over to share some peanut butter chicken. Pops open the YouTube and he shows me Tyson. Not the American Mike Tyson, but Senegalese Mike Tyson. This is my first time seeing this sport called Senegalese wrestling, also known as Laamb. And I was immediately taken back by just the scale of the sport, just the grandeur, the pomp and circumstance, the ceremony, the amount of people, the police getting involved with the breaking up and like the big show that they had going on, the throws and the knockouts. So unlike many other forms of wrestling, they are knocking each other out. I get introduced to Tyson, and in turn, I get introduced to Senegalese wrestling, or Laamb. I just remember my boy kept saying, yes, Tyson, Tyson. There's a stadium full of people. It's always crazy to me to see a sport or something that I've never heard of, and you see thousands and thousands of people there. It has some similarities with sumo in that they grab onto the loincloth and throw each other around. They have to get one person down beyond their knees, so thigh touches the ground, hip touches the ground. There seems to be judgments, which I don't fully understand, and the knockouts are crazy. And the knockouts, like in MMA, come from the avoidance of the wrestling leading to the knockout. Big overhand punches, brutal sport. My friend, he had already told me that Gambians and Senegalese, they share many things because they are of the same culture, they're of the same people. Though Senegal is a French country, Gambia is an English-speaking country. Officially, they all speak the same local languages. Many Gambian people have family in Senegal and vice versa. This is just because France and England just drew a line and said, your family is no longer within the same country. This sport that is shared between the culture is popular in both places, but it seems to have really taken off in Senegal. It has a lot of corporate backing. It just has a lot behind it, a lot of money behind it. Laamb is a way for many of the youth to strive for something bigger. Laamb is a way of making it out. So there are great stories of men starting off from these smaller wrestling camps and rising to stardom to become like a Mike Tyson. My introduction to Laamb, Mohamed Ndao Tyson. Born in Senegal, dedicated to rigorous training from a young age. Tyson earned his nickname because of his explosive power and charismatic presence, reminiscent of the famous boxer Mike Tyson. So he had numerous victories in the arena. He became a cultural icon in Senegal. He's one of the guys that helped popularize Senegalese wrestling. I've seen a few videos where it talks about, it goes back to the Serra people, but I'm not sure exactly what time or how this started and how widespread that was. They introduced striking into the matches in the 1990s. Before that, it was just the traditional style, and they still do practice both styles. They have the style with sans foute, I can't remember, and avec, can't remember what the fist was, but you have the avec and you have the sans.
Shame. Shame.
You are just trying to get any part of your opponent's body above the knee to touch the sand, then you are considered out. With the avec punches, version, they go out too. They have brutal knockouts. These are big men in the professional league. It seems to favor just the big men. The match takes place in a circular sand-filled arena. Getting them down, you're allowed to grab onto their neem. You're allowed to grab onto their neem, almost like sumo wrestling, where they wear a loincloth. And this is something that you could grab onto and use it for hip tosses and get a good grip on them to bring them down and to break away from takedowns as well. but you can't just grab on, especially in the professional version, because you have to also be aware of punches. Punches are coming. It's a very exciting sport, and I love to see sports where you have crowds of people. Ah! In the amateur version of Laamb, there's one round. There's no time limit. There are no strikes allowed. It focuses purely on the grappling techniques, the wrestling. If there is a time when both wrestlers go down and there's no clear who took who down or who won in this takedown exchange, they just restart. It's void. Another thing my Gambian friend always pointed out, which I'm always very skeptical of, is the idea of magic and charms. And you could see in Laamb that this is highly emphasized, the energy and the shamanism that goes into it. You could see that it's a big part of the culture where guys, they go and they have their own special, it's like a shaman. And this shaman, they can cast bad spells on your opponent. They give you good spells. They wear charms that can bring them luck and fortune in the ring, bring them strength, things like that. So there's a lot of spiritual belief. They give you special potions. They pour the potion all over you, and this is where you get to see just the imagery of like getting goat's milk poured and different oils and liquids poured all over them. It just gives like a very mystical dimension to this sport. I gotta get out of the rain. Hold on a moment. Let me get out of the rain here. It is a big, I would say, an escape or a goal of many young men to rise up to become the #1 Laamb wrestler in their country, to emulate somebody like Tyson or to emulate somebody like Rug. You could see the dream and the aspiration of the young men in the stables, the men practicing on the beach. I love seeing something that you've never heard of before, and then just this window opens up and you could see that this thing that you have never even thought of before fills the dreams of people in other parts of the world. So like it's almost like a portal into another world.